Okay, now this is your second stop in Texas, right?
Yeah.
What do y'all think of Texas?
We haven't seen too much of it actually, just hotels and airports. But we had a couple days in Houston. I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
We got a chance to do some jamming out there with some friends of ours.
Waiting for some of those Stone Cowboys we've heard about.
Have y'all been to Austin yet?
No.
That's
here.
that's supposedly the place in Texas.
I've heard really good things about Dallas.
Yeah.
That's a nice town. Of course, I've been here all my life. I haven't been much elsewhere.
Okay, you're from Canada. From Toronto?
Toronto, yeah.
Does it seem to y'all that it's kind of hard for the bands from Canada to break into the U.S. market?
Yeah, it's very hard. Very, very hard. We've been together for about 5 years, and it took us that long to get into the U.S.
It's getting better now, though. Back from Turner Overdrive have opened it up a lot. People are starting to realize that there is music in Canada besides lumberjacks and Eskimos. You know, there are some good things coming out of Canada. There always has been good things musically in Canada, but they just never had a way to get out. There was no market. There was no, sort of viaduct out of Canada for music. So.
Well, I've noticed that because I've picked up a number of albums myself of Canadian musicians, and they seem to be just real sharp. A lot of good things coming out of there, but a lot of them I've picked up in junk piles, 59-cent albums, things like that.
So we have a very immature record company idea in Canada, which has held it back a lot, because the record companies in Canada aren't interested in anything that's over 2 minutes and anything that can't be played on top 40 AM radio. And they will never consider anything else.
It's just a matter more or less of the way things are set up in radio in Canada, because there's like only about 6 FM rock stations in all of Canada. It's a very small FM market, really. And there's thousands of AM stations. So, it's really hard to sell a progressive band in Canada.
Well, do you think that the high-energy rock and roll is kind of going out of style, or do you think
I don't
it's
think
still
so.
as live as it ever has?
I think it's sort of been coming back into it in the last little while.
There hasn't been any for quite some time, actually.
It's true.
Since almost, really it's been 10 years since there's been any really high-energy thing besides, not 10 years maybe if you consider Zeppelin and that. But people like Black Sabbath, that wasn't energy music, really. It was downer music,
Yeah.
It was heavy, but there was no energy.
Yeah, there's been a lot of heavy bands, but not a lot of, heavy bands with a lot of energy to them, if you know what I mean.
Well, who do you think you could cite as some of your influences?
Obviously, people like Jimmy Page and Jeff Beck, because when we were young, those are the people that were big and the people that we admired.
You and Alex write most of the songs, right?
Up until we got Neil. Neil's just been in the band for about 3 months now.
Did he play on the album?
No, he's not on the album.
I didn't think so. Didn't recognize him on the album cover.
Right.
Just before the tour, the drummer that's on the album left.
Oh, I see.
And we've had Neil for about 3 months now. We got Neil a week before we came to the U.S.
Frantic things.
Yeah, I can imagine. A lot of rehearsals,
Yeah,
real
for sure.
quick.
Since Neil's been in the band, though, we've started writing as the 3 of us together.
Oh, that's good. You have plans to release a single, is that correct? It's been released. Now, which one is that?
Finding My Way,
Finding My Way.
the opening cut.
It's been cut down and edited and put out at about 2.5 minutes now.
Did you record any other albums before you signed on with Mercury?
Actually, the album that's out now was recorded in Canada quite a while ago. And it just took us a while to get an American release, an American record label.
Now, was it released previously on a Canadian label?
Yeah, it was our own label in Canada.
Oh, I see.
And there's a lot of independent companies in Canada. It's very hard to... The big companies are very, very... very
Don't they
big.
seem to kind of all be under one Quality Records or something like that?
No, there's a lot of different companies, but they're all branch offices. There's no real main...
All the big companies are represented in Canada, but they're not big, put it that way. Like I said before, they're immature.
Tell me something about how y'all got together.
Our previous drummer was with us for about 5 years, almost 6 years, and he decided to leave, I guess more or less musical differences and like that. He was sort of tired of road life anyway, I think. And we just had a lot of recommendations about Neil. He wasn't doing anything really major at the time, playing part-time, and we sort of had a few practices together, and we got everything together in about a week, and we came here, U.S. Everything was planned before Neil came along.
That's kind of amazing being able to get it together like that in a week.
It wasn't easy.
Yeah, I can imagine.
The
'cause-
first few gigs were a little shaky.
It was kind of a freak out because the first time the new band performed together was on the same. We were opening for Uriah Heep in Pittsburgh, and there was like 14,000 people there, and it was really kind of a scary thing to open up with a new person in the band in front of so many people.
Where are you planning on going from here?
To the top.
I'd like to go down to the Bahamas for a couple of weeks.
What's your next stop?
Kansas City.
Kansas City.
We're going to be in the U.S. till Christmas.
Oh, good.
We have a short time out for a tour in Canada, and then we're right back again.
Well, do you have any plans for another album?
Yeah, we've been just writing. The next album is pretty well all written. It's just a matter of rehearsing and recording it. I think we'll be recording it in January.
Going from that, about when do you think it'll be released?
Probably March.
Yeah.
I'd say early March.